What's up, guys? For the last time this season, I am Cheche, your host from the Slayedt Talks, the podcast, and we are now on the finale of talking about films. Back from the previous episodes, I have been consistently talking about theoretical aspects of films, such as asking my favorite films under specific categories and some technical analysis of film elements. For now, we are tackling the practical portion, which focuses on the entire production process of creating, distributing, and exhibiting films. With that said, for every project to achieve, it is inevitable that challenges naturally occur, followed by several mechanisms on how we overcome them towards the desired goal. As I iterate from my introduction before, producing film is time-consuming and financially constrained if you are starting from scratch. That is why filmmaking requires a comprehensive series project production when collaborating with your cast and crew. Indeed, each production stage comes with its own challenges and solutions. In pre-production, this is the entire project planning that you will list your goal and its interventions needed to achieve. You need to have an ample amount of time to brainstorm for the script and storyboarding. It is fine to be lost in perspective if you do not have an idea what to write. Yet, if a filmmaker has to produce in such a given period of time, he or she or they has to seek their trusted creative consultants so that it will not spend more time figuring out the screenplay. Aside from that, budget planning is an essential aspect in filmmaking. To think that you will be spending funds for your equipment, talents, props, location, foods, transportation, and other possible expenses to be allocated in a film project. Thus, in small productions and low-budget films, the filmmaker should be financially literate to handle the expenses with all the necessary means for the project. In logistical aspect, not at all times, the filmmakers will have the complete props and costumes, which the members of the art department will take over the visual interface and the props needed for the set. There are times that the crew can directly borrow materials from crowdsourcing, yet some have to rent props, equipment, and sometimes the location under negotiation in order to suffice the actual needs. Before the actual shoot takes place, the director of photography and its members under camera department need to prepare how to position the angles of the film visuals during the pre-production. This must be done alongside rehearsing with the characters present in film so that everything they practice for a sequence of shot scenes will be performed well and become time-wise during the production phase, and it will help to reduce the possibility of revisions once they got there. More than practicing the camera placements and movements, camera department crew should be aware of the location, which also serves to be a challenge in how they can easily set and position their camera equipment, especially in the places that have unstable landscapes. But also, the sound department should eloquently and properly arrange their boom microphones and record the conversational dialogues, monologues, environmental sounds, and other types of sounds needed to be mixed until it reaches the post-production. During production, the weather patterns are the most unpredictable challenges if the film project has outdoor scenes needed to shoot. The film cast and crew must be enlightened to this concern given that it is an unforeseen circumstance that could affect the time when undergoing shoots. If the producers and the rest of the team have backup plans, such as advancing or delaying the shoot depending on the case or change of schedule, then it can be subjective, and as long as everyone in the set will be in favor of sudden changes. Similar with the pre-production, post-production is important as to how the editors will polish all the arrangements and synchronization of the sound, footage clips, and the visual effects of the film. One of the common mishaps that filmmakers encounter is that some fail to create backup copies of footage, recordings, and the project file for editing. And it is inevitable to face crashes while editing, especially when an editor has to arrange lots of sequences. If you are about to create a film, you make sure that you always be attentive to back up your files if something happens. Moving forward to the film distribution and exhibitions, it is a sad reality that indie films are dominantly dependent with film festivals that will help them find their publicity and engagement, audience, and a distributor. Perhaps the marketing is more intricate because you deeply have to find the right timing and the audience that will push to gain more traction, cinematic discussions, and criticisms. In this bureaucratic capitalist society, especially in the film industry, it is struggling to adapt and deal with this unresolvable work ethic, or else stop working with it. Somehow, the rise of the streaming era, alongside the existence of video-on-demand platforms, may have pros and cons how films come into our lives, where exhibiting films in theaters may not be the same as how we watch it at home, online, or traditional. The change in the industry is consumer-based, and the future has no certainty to what extent the cinema can improve the viewer experience and make every money a worthwhile count. Most of my responses are dominantly based from the experience of my colleagues who are in the film production, and I appreciate their effort for being passionate about filmmaking amidst its non-stop challenges. It has been an amazing experience talking to the listeners about films from theoretical to conceptual to practical viewpoints. I would like to finally say that it's a wrap! Thank you for listening once and for all, and I wish I could have the next of times covering podcasts. For the last time, this is Cheche from the Slayedt Talks the podcast. Always take note that film will be an eternal movement. And may you have the best of luck to your endeavors. Keep safe and see you soon.